What's going on, people? Welcome back to 30 Mins Arsenal with myself and my guy, Harry. What you telling me, my bro? You good?
Hello, sir. Hello, mate. Hello, everyone. Listen, I ran 60 kilometers last Sunday. I was battered, devastated, but I felt so much more shit after that match against Forest,
I seen them toes, Harry. They were all mash up. I'm telling you, bro. It was a mad thing. I hope you still got them in ice right about now.
And anyway, my spirits are high once again and ready to talk, ready to banter. Yes.
But
Let's
look,
get it rolling.
we can only just dive in straight away to the result first before we move on to the likes of Saka's contract and Reece Nelson's contracts and so on. But people, first of all, before we do get into it, please subscribe to the channel. We're about 220 subscribers away from 6K. Make sure you're hitting the like button on this video as well, people, as I want to push 30 Mins Arsenal out to the wider audience, because honestly, it's a fantastic show. And I think the chemistry between myself and Harry is top notch, and we don't want you to miss out on it, people.
Big up Premzy. Big up Premzy. Yes, all those Japanese watchers out there too, our Asian watchers out there too. Click that button, man. お願いします。登録の方お願いいたします。
Okay. Yes, Harry. Don't worry. I kind of got the gist of that. Don't worry about it. But look, 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. It seems to be getting worse, bro. What are you telling me? Because Arteta went into that game thinking he was Pep Guardiola, went in with a free at the back, used Thomas Partey as an inverted right back, and it was all a mess, man. It was all a mess.
Joke, man. It was such a joke, man. Listen, there's a lot of people out there kind of slating Partey on his role in the match against Forest. Come on, man. How many times has he played that role before, inverting? He wasn't even inverting at all, He didn't know where the hell he was. And that triangle that we've had all bloody season with Ben White, Saka, and Odegaard was absolutely non-existent. Saka didn't know when he would need to come back for it, when he needed to go in for the runs, And on the other side too, if you're going to experiment on one side, you can't experiment on the other side, especially with Kivior coming in left back. Kivior, I think he has a lot to offer us. Eventually, but not now in left back. Come on, and it just shows us who's going out and who's going to be staying. I'm not sure about who's going to be staying, but it looks as though Kieran Tierney and
the only proper left back we got, man.
Yeah,
what is going on here? I think this game definitely shows that he is leaving, Harry. I think you're 100% right, because how can you not be putting in your left back in this game when you just have to? In my opinion, you have to play Kieran Tierney, but we've also seen Kieran Tierney play as a left-sided centre-back for Scotland as well, as a 3. Yep. So why can't Kieran Tierney fit that role? Because, fair enough, say you might not want him to bomb on and go forward and give that extra support forward. We know what he can do defensively. So Arteta, for me, I can see that he just doesn't have him in his plans, and it does hurt. I'd be upset seeing him in any other shirt, being honest with you. But if you got some kind of morals about you and you love football and you want to play, I wouldn't be surprised if Kieran Tierney wants to leave himself, man.
I love the guy, coming in from Celtic, his Japanese connections with Shinsuke Nakamura, but he's just a real quality player who you need in a rough Premiership match against your Stokes, against your Brentfords, against your Newcastles too, because they try to rough you up. And him going out would be devastating. You were mentioning his name as a potential captain last season. But going back to Arteta, Arteta is not Pep, and he may get there eventually in a couple of years, but his experimentation and the rotation of the squad and his trust in his players came at the wrong time. He should have trusted his players a long time ago in playing different roles, and because you have the A team, you have the starting 11. I'm sure you agree upon this point. And then you have the so-called B team, the players who are nearly there in the first 11, and they just haven't been trusted, and they haven't been given that opportunity to go in there. So And they just can't perform just like that when they're just told to, okay, you've only got 15 minutes left against Forest or something like that. The rotation is a massive problem that we've had in the season throughout, and Arteta needs to learn from it. What do you reckon?
Do you know what? I think you bang on. I think this game in Nottingham Forest, it shows us that when the better players are on one side, like the right-hand side, we just focus on going down one side. I think the early parts of the season, we were absolutely frightening and blistering on both sides, left and right, whether it be Martinelli or Saka or Granit Xhaka putting in with the goals and linking up with Martinelli and Zinchenko overlapping, or Ben White overlapping with Saka and Odegaard. And it seemed like we were just kind of stagnated doing one kind of thing, very predictable, 82% possession at points. And we couldn't really do anything killer with that possession. No passing with intent, no clear-cut opportunities. It was very disappointing to see, because teams like Nottingham Forest, we should be absolutely put into the sword, especially how leaps and bounds we've come this season. These are the kinds of teams we should be battering. I just think the players were shell-shocked. I think they lost a lot of confidence, but I'm not with just giving Man City the title like that. At least let them go away and win the title away from home. You get me? Not at home at the Etihad. Let's take it to them, make it as hard and difficult as we possibly can. It was disappointing to see. And the one thing that I think we should touch on next is Arteta's plan B. And moving forward into next season, Harry, we need to see a plan B from Arteta, because we're becoming very predictable as a team. And once we get shut out, once they break that press, we're like an open book. You get me? We're like a prostitute with the legs open. Everyone can have a go. It's a mad thing. We need to hold it down. And I want to see that reassurance from Arteta that we do have a plan B, because otherwise there's a lot of pressure on this guy next season, Harry. Champions League football and so on. If he doesn't show the fans that he is this guy moving forward to take us, not to just challenge in, but to go and win them big trophies, there's going to be a lot of questions asked, man.
Exactly. So pre-season is going to be essential. It's a real pity that Tomiyasu is not going to be able to make pre-season, but Martinelli will be back, and we're looking to strengthen the squad by at least 4 to 5 players, and this has to happen. This really has to happen. And hopefully all these deals get done fairly quickly as soon as the market is open. Because you can see it happen, Champions League football on Wednesday, Tuesday nights, Premiership football, the cup matches. And if Arteta doesn't get the whole rotation thing going on, doesn't get the competition level up, I love Saka, and God bless him. We'll talk about the contract in a second. But he had to take some time off during the season. Not every single game. He just looks worn and torn right now.
No, I hear what you're saying. I think with Arteta, you're right. He does need to find his best system and the way to actually, during the game, if it's not going for us, have that game management to change it around during the game, not have to wait till half time. The players need to understand plan B whilst it's 30 minutes in and it's not going right. Use your initiative, get the captain. That's what his job is to do, to be the manager on the pitch, change it around and push forward, because we see Man City do that. And ultimately, Man City are the blueprint. I do think playing every 3 days is going to be hard for us, because we're new to it after a long time. Like, obviously, we have been playing Europa League and stuff, but Champions League, the intensity is different. But I do think it's good in the sense of keeping that momentum as well. And say, for example, you do have a defeat in the week, you can bounce back in midweek and you're back on, momentum's back there. So it is going to be interesting to see how we do push on. And we will touch a little bit more on the Champions League later on in the show. But I think we got to, first of all, talk about Bukayo Saka. Saka signed his new contract, 2027, 4-year deal. And now he's our highest earner, 200 grand a week, man. What are you telling me, man?
It's he's your highest earner, and he's come through the ranks from 8 years old, if I'm correct, And this is what football fans really want. You support a club, and you don't just support the A team. You support the under 21s, and you support the youths too, And it's a fairy tale. It's a dream come true, and it will spur us on. And I love the whole righty Saka connection of, legend passing on the love into the next legend, and I'm very sure Saka, will take us to the next level. He just needs the support. And I'm hoping to God that this Saka deal, it came after Ramsdale's deal too, would be a massive message to the other squad players, let's say, and the big one has got to be Saliba, next. And we need this to happen, like boom, boom, boom. We can't be like waiting for Saliba's contract renewal until halfway through next season or something like that.
Yeah, he's very vital to get tied down.
Yes.
Definitely. I think you're 100% right as well. And you bring up a good point about Saka coming from the academy and now he's our highest paid player. That's a massive achievement. And that just shows all the academy players that it can be done and it'll make them work even harder. Jack Wilshere's there as well. And he'll be pushing them and striving them to say, look, I did it as a player because Jack came through the ranks as well. And you don't know, sometimes you need to dip into the youth system and bring out players like a Saka in order to thrive, because everyone starts from somewhere. You just got to be very good at talent spotting in order to bring these players in. And I think over the years, Arsenal have done that in a fantastic way, bringing players through. I think over the last few years, apart from Saka, we have been a little bit slow at it. But now it's the time to start really giving these young players opportunity and developing these players, because they might not be a genuine starter at Arsenal, but we can go and sell these players on for money like we did with Iwobi and bring some funds into the club, because for years now we seem to bring players in and we're paying them to leave. We don't get no return from them. And that, for me, does stagnate the club in a bit financially to buy the players you want to buy. I think moving forward in this January transfer window, in this January transfer window was so important. I've still got it in my mind because we needed that window badly. But going into this summer window, we are in a much better place financially. We're in Champions League, which offers more money. We're also in a place where we're more attractive to players being in the Champions League. And most of all, the wage bill is nothing compared to what it used to be now. So we can go out there and be a bit more proactive in the market and bring in the players that we want, man.
Healthy, mate. And having that wage bill just, sends out a massive message to every single squad player out there, but to the Premiership too. You look at Chelsea. I'm not going to go and start bantering other clubs, but the situation in Chelsea with their youth and also their spending is just outrageous, and it's a shocker that they're having right now. I think it's going to take a couple more seasons for them to sort it out, even with Poch coming in. But yes, I'm proud of Arsenal Football Club when it comes to the tradition and then the youth system and the whole system that we've got in place in comparison to what we had a couple of years ago. After the end of the Wenger years, going into Emery, even Freddie in charge, that was all chaotic. I mean, credit Emery because he was the one who really gave Saka the first chance, right?
Yeah. Do you know what, Emery? I think he is a good manager. I think he did get quite a bit of stick from the Arsenal fans unnecessarily. I think it was just that Europa League final which kind of put the nail in the coffin and everyone kind of turned on him. So look what he's doing at Aston Villa. It just shows he's a great manager. He's been winning Europa Leagues left, right and centre, knocked us out of the Europa League as well. So he is decent. But look, a player you touched on, Aaron Ramsdale's also signed a new contract as well. I believe that's till 2027 also. You know what? As a goalkeeper coming into the club for the money that he was branded out, I wasn't excited. I didn't think Aaron Ramsdale was going to be that guy to be able to play out with his feet and make them worldy saves. But ultimately, yeah, he has got a mistake in him here and there, which he needs to eradicate out of his game. He's still young and still can develop. It seems to be a very good buy. How are you finding his contract extension? Are you happy with it?
Oh, I'm very happy about it. Every single massive legendary player, goes through their patches. That Southampton game, I was with you, mate. 23 seconds in, I don't know what he was thinking about. However, he will get stronger, and stronger, and he's a great one. He's what you call a crowd a lover. The crowd love him, and he loves the crowd too, and he knows the whole English vibe of the whole banter factor too. So I think he's a good potential leader. He won't be captain, but he's a good kind of like vice captain-esque player, and the stuff that he does with his feet too, and the long feeds that he does, in a split second he can change a battering from an opposition into an amazing counter. How many times did we see him smash the ball up to Martinelli, and Martinelli controlling it and turning it into a potential goal, and playing from the back, it's just not you can't compare it. What are the keepers have we had who've been good playing with their feet?
We definitely can't say Manuel Almunia, can we? So
no,
it's a bit of a mad take.
Yeah, we can't. Yes. Even Fabianski, it's just no. Right.
No, but to be fair, he's here now. He's staying. I'm happy that he signed, and I think the connection that you touched on with the fans is second to none. And he's developed that himself by the shithousery he does against opposing teams, and the fans love that. And he's really built that connection with us. And to be fair, I'm happy to see him stay. I think he offers big personality and big character. He knows where we've gone wrong. I've seen a recent interview. I think it was actually in his announcement video, and I was pretty much with everything that he said. So I'm glad to see him here. But let's touch a little bit on transfers, because last week we forgot to mention one person that could potentially be coming into the club, and you did message me and say to me, look, I want to speak about this guy, Cancelo.
Okay. Now Cancelo and Gundogan, we're battering away at City's arse, telling them to give us their jewels. But listen, Cancelo would be amazing. That would be absolutely fantastic. Even, I'm not sure if he would be satisfied with the status of being a squad player. But he's played right, he's played left. He can invert. He can do absolutely everything that Arteta requires. Slight problem with his wages, I think. He's not going to come cheap. But he would be a massive addition. He would be massive. Can you imagine that? That would put Ben White back into his usual place at right centre back, and then Saliba and Ben White could battle it out, and every so often Ben White could play right back too. But I want to see Ben White involved in the build up a bit more as a centre back next season too.
You could potentially see Ben White playing that John Stones role as well, because
yes.
We know Arteta likes to look at Pep Guardiola, and that's his master, and that's his Mr. Miyagi. So he's going to be looking at him and trying his best to emulate him. And it wouldn't be a bad shot.
Expected John Stones to have this kind of season? Wow,
he's looking like prime Pirlo. He is. I'll tell you, he's looking quality. He's looking quality, but with Cancelo, Harry, I think going forward, he's unbelievable. He's great, but I think he does lack defensively. And I think, can we afford that kind of luxury player? Because I do honestly believe he's a luxury player. I don't think he gives you that defensive solidity. I think if we have a Saliba in the side and he doesn't get injured, we can cope with it. Maybe Ben White, if Saliba's out and Ben White gets pushed there, or a Tomiyasu, I do think we would be able to cope with it. But going into the Champions League and stuff like that, do you reckon he is the guy that we need to go out and get? Or do you think we're just getting a bit too giddy about it? The name's branded out, he's available.
Maybe I've just been playing too much fantasy and football, because Cancelo, with his clean sheets and his goal threats and his assists, always manages to kind of score, 10 plus in the game ever so often. Listen, it's just me being very pro Cancelo.
He is quality. He is quality. We got to give him that, especially going forward, man.
Yeah.
But look, I think we're definitely going to have to bolster the squad. There's going to be a few positions that we might be surprised with players leaving. There's talks of Thomas Partey leaving the club.
Yes, I mentioned this last week, telling you, no, yes, he could be off, and you were like, no, surely not. But I can actually see Thomas Partey leaving.
But you know what, Harry? I've sat down, had a little think about it from last week as well, especially now the news has been getting a bit hotted up. And I'm thinking 30 odd years of age, injury problems. falling off at vital times when we need him to play well.
Yep.
Maybe it might be worth cashing in on him, especially if we can bring in both a Caicedo to replace him and a Declan Rice to replace Xhaka. Maybe it might be that time to do that. But having said all that, he has got experience. We know what he's like for majority of the season. He is quality when he comes in, and he's a
Yes.
Rolls Royce. Coming
And
off the bench, he would give us something good.
Okay, and you're taking 2 solid starters out of the Arsenal midfield. That's a massive gamble. I can, handle Xhaka leaving, but them both leaving, and it just depends how ruthless Arteta can get, and how adaptable Partey can be, because he's just been. I don't know what's happened to him in the last month or so. The form that he's had in the last month he's a totally different person. He just looks half the person, unfortunately for us.
Yeah. To be fair, I think the pressure has got to a lot of players as well, and he might be one of them players that the pressure's got to. He doesn't really seem to be much of a screamer or a shouter or somebody with a really big personality.
No, he's not.
So maybe we could take that into account and think that that's probably what it is. And ultimately, we need players that can handle pressure. We need players that can deal with pressure. That can push forward and hit the job on the head when it needs to be done. And is there anyone that you would recommend apart from a Caicedo that we can maybe look at bringing in if we was to replace a Thomas Partey? Is there any names that you could think of off the top of your head or you might be interested in?
Some people may disagree with this, but a Neves would be interesting. Yeah.
Do you know what, Harry? Sorry to cut you. I was just on the podcast with Saeed on the Best of the Rest, and I was saying I'd love to take a Ruben Neves at Arsenal. I think if we had a Caicedo to replace Thomas Partey, and I think Neves would fit that Xhaka role absolutely down to the ground. He would fit it. But I can't see us going in for him. But if we got him and say we brought in, I'm just playing FIFA in my head now. I'm thinking a Neves, Gundogan, a Rice, and a Caicedo. We brought them 4 players, and I'm telling you, we're going far. We're going far, but I doubt Arsenal are going to spend that kind of money.
You know what? I have a feeling that there's more likelihood of Mason Mount signing for us than
Carrie, please, no. Have you not heard the news that's come out today?
No, what's
David Ornstein, £85 million, looking to go to Manchester United.
Yes. What?
I swear to God, that's what the situation is. Ornstein's saying about 70 mil or whatnot.
Hands
take
up,
him,
man.
take
Listen,
him.
I must apologize. Listen, in Tokyo, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, so I haven't looked at Twitter. But what the flying mother of God? 75 million.
What a flying fuck.
75 million Mason Mount to Man United. Are you being fucking serious?
I'm being serious, bro. 85 million they're saying, but David Ornstein's saying around 70. Yeah.
Holy shit. My God.
He wants 200 grand a week as well. It's a bit of a mad thing,
isn't it? Castrated with that news, man. By God. But
I keep him away from our club. What I was saying this earlier on Saeed's podcast. Everybody literally boycott Chelsea. Don't buy none of their players and keep them in the mud. That's what we need to do. Keep them in the mud. But look.
Oh my God.
One player I want to touch on before we wrap it all up. And I want to go into some depth with it as well because.
Okay, let's go.
He's coming back next season to us. Nicolas Pepe. He's can play out on the right wing. And personally, for me, I don't think he's as big as flop as everyone makes out. I think at times at Arsenal, he was treated unfairly. One season, he was a leading goal scorer. Yeah, he does carry the ball too long. He does try too much trickery and so on. But it's down to a manager and a coach to rein that in from the player. Say to him, look, do that when it's needed to be done. What's your thoughts on Nicolas Pepe coming? Do you think he could come back to this team and make an impact? Or do you think Arsenal are looking to just offload him straight away? And would that be the best thing to do? Because his market value can't be that high. Maybe we keep him, pump his market value up a little bit, give him some game time. Now we're in the Champions League and I want to be competing on all fronts, Harry. What's your take on Pepe? Because there's a lot of Arsenal fans that are going to be confused about his situation.
Okay. The current situation surrounding Nicolas Pepe, in my view, Arsenal are they'll try to offload him. If they can get anything in the region of 30 mil or so, they'll sell him flat out. But unfortunately, the market despite what was it, 72 million that we paid for him. It's not unthinkable that he'll go out for 30 million. I think a lot of clubs will try to buy him in the region of 10 to 15, unfortunately. What I would want to see is Pepe give his absolute all in the pre-season. And now, considering that Pepe didn't have that solidity behind him when he was playing for Arsenal last season, he could change. I mean, the real madness that everybody got really pissed off with Pepe is how he kept on holding the ball, and his press was so, in some occasions, ineffective. And as soon as he got kicked off the starting 11, he started to get a bit grumpy. So once he's turned into a complete squad player and he's waiting for games, like if he's in like a Nelson situation next season, he will not blossom. He would just be like, he would just rot away. If he gets the game time, I can guarantee that he can give us something.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think, but we're definitely going to need to rotate in Saka. We've seen how Saka's been burnt out. And you touched on Reece Nelson there. We have actually offered him a new contract for 2027, a new, like a more recent deal that's been put forward to him. Whether it's been accepted or not, we don't really know. We know previous ones have not been accepted from Reece Nelson. I think whether he stays or he goes might play a big impact on Pepe staying or going. I think if Reece Nelson rejects the contract and he doesn't stay at Arsenal and he wants to look for first team football, that might just say to Arteta, look, bring Pepe in, rotate him a bit with Saka here and there when you need to. Pepe has got Champions League experience as well, I'm guessing, with I'm sure he's got I might be wrong, actually, to be fair, but he has got European experience for definite, for sure. Maybe that allows us to spend money in different areas rather than having to go and buy another right winger. Maybe that allows us to go and maybe pinch 3 midfielders, get another centre back, or go for a Cancelo, somebody like that. Because ideally, we could use Pepe as a number 9 as well, and people tend to forget that Pepe can play up front. And I think it was Lille he came from, didn't he? When he used to play quite often up front for them as well. And to be fair, he flourished in that position. So is that something we could do with Pepe? Maybe look to put him in up front.
Yes, it's a possibility, but this factor about up front, mate, I'm gagging. I am begging for a massive, full-on striker up there. Listen, everybody's going on about a centre back, yes, a left back. I do understand defensive midfield and the jacker role, yes, but out of the 4 or 5 players, I'm praying to God that we get a proper, no-nonsense centre forward who can change the game in the 65th or 70th or 75th minute. And I'm hoping Jesus can play out on the right too, as he did with City, because he's used to that. He knows how to play it, So if we have Jesus and Saka and Nelson and possibly Pepe on the right-hand side, I am perfectly happy with that. Martinelli and then Trossard on the other side too. And then we can't forget about what we're going to do with Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe going to be able to go into that jacker role. Is that you see more of an Odegaard man, And then the big question with the transfer is Smith Rowe, Viera, okay? And I know Viera is just completely loved by Arteta for some weird reason. And he's just had his off moments too many times in the season. So maybe he should be sent out on loan. But if Viera could just bulk up and, get in the flow with Premiership football, it's just going to be massive. I do not want to see Smith Rowe leave.
I don't want to see Smith Rowe leave. I think if we played Smith Rowe in the number 10, we would see the best of Smith Rowe. I understand he's got quite a lot of injury problems, but it's down for the manager to make these players better. I don't want to see him go into an Aston Villa under Unai Emery and flourishing. We give him one more year, see what he can give us with game time. Now we're in the Champions League and push on from there. Fabio Vieira could go out on loan. If he's clearly not ready for the Premier League, he's not ready for the Europa League, he's definitely not ready for the Champions League. Get him out on loan. He's still young. I think, what is he, 22, 23 years of age?
Yeah,
get him out loan for a year. But sometimes you've got to cut your losses sometimes if it doesn't work out. And I think that was probably one of Arteta's shittest signings, if not the shittest signing since he's come into the club.
Yep.
We could argue of others, but he's very paperweight and he doesn't really give me no confidence when he's on the pitch, to be honest.
No.
He's got moments of brilliance in him, like we've seen with a few goals in the Europa League. He's got moments, but he gets bullied around in midfield.
Exactly. Pepe had his moments of brilliance, and it came a lot more often than with Viera. Yeah.
Definitely. But look, people, we have come to the end of the stream today. 30 mins Arsenal. Make sure you're smashing a like on this video. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that locks in every week for this show. Harry, big up yourself, bro.
Yes. And we need that victory against Wolves. We need to finish the fucking season on a high. I'm begging you, Arsenal. Come on, boys.
We definitely do, I'm telling you, but it wouldn't surprise me if we end up fucking that one up as well. I'll tell you that much for free. If you don't know as well, City just drew with Brighton 1-1, so it is all a mad thing. It's all a mad thing.
Brighton played exceptionally well. Yeah.
But people, peace and love, and we'll see you next week.
Take care. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.